Brought to you by businessblueprint.com.au.
I started my entrepreneurial journey 10 years ago. And I've put this picture up here because I believe this really summarises me. I've always had a really big drive and ambition to create success and wealth through running business. But on the flip side, I'm also really big on lifestyle. And I've often been really contradicted between should I push hard over here or live my lifestyle. Does anyone else in the room actually go through this? Yeah. I think a lot of people do, and I'm certainly one that will just do push, but then hang on, why? Why am I doing this? What's the point of it all? And it really hit me when I met someone who spent a lot of time dealing with people on their deathbeds. And in the last 3 months, she used to ask them, what regrets do you have? And the top 3 regrets, these are the top 3 that she found having interviewed thousands and thousands of people. Top 3 was, I wish I didn't work so hard, was number 1. Isn't that interesting? I wish I didn't work so hard. Number 2, I wish I helped more people. And number 3, I wish I was more true to myself. And so I've been on this extraordinary journey, so much so that I've written a book about it, What the Hell Are You Chasing? I launched it in January this year. So this is actually what I'm really, really passionate about, helping people become really clear on what it is that they want in their lives, not what they think others want of them. Actually, what do they want? But it wasn't always like that. Because my first couple of years in business, I really, really struggled. At the 2-year mark in my business, as a business coach, I started as a business coach. At the 2-year mark, I had 2 clients on. I had more money going out than coming in, and at this point in time, I had about $180,000 worth of debts. My credit cards were maxed, and I went through a really bad patch. I felt depressed. At the time, I had relationship breakdowns. It just wasn't working for me, and it was so close to deciding if I should quit. And very, very fortunately, I was introduced to this concept called the flip. And I had a mentor at the time who helped me understand something. And he said, Andrew, he taught me 2 things. He said, until you believe in you, no one else will believe in you. And that was a really groundbreaking flip in my mind. And he said something else to me. He said, what are you stressed about? And I said to him, I can't make money. And I'm failing. And he looked at me and he said, so you're stressed about not having enough money? And I said, yes. And he said to me, would you cut your arms off for $1 million and give them to me for $1 million? And I said, no. How about your legs? I'll give you $1 million right now if you cut your legs off and give them to me. And I said, no. And he said, what about your eyes? And I said, no. And he said, you're worth $3 million and you're whinging about not having enough money. And it's fascinating because there's certain points that turn, and that for me, I went from being this sorry for myself, stressed, feeling like the worst person in the world, to all of a sudden the happiest person in the world. All of a sudden I got this big smile on my face and I realised, what am I stressing about? And I really got that there's a quote, what stress is to me is someone else's bliss. It really hit me, and my life flipped. Within 2 months, I was making more money than I'd ever made in my life. I was making more in a month than what I used to in an entire year in my previous job, in 2 months. 2 years later, I'll come back to this shortly. 2 years later, I was running a business with 25 team members, 13 business coaches, turning over $3 million per year within 2 years. And I'm positioning this now because it can flip so quickly for people. You can be going along and it can be so tough. And then boom, within the space of a couple of years, you can be just doing everything that you want. And I think a lot of people just don't have enough patience to allow all this stuff to unfold. And this guy here, has anyone read his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Okay, most people have. 3 things he said you need to master if you wanted to create wealth. Number 1, run a business, which all of us in the room are doing. Number 2, learn to sell. And number 3, it's not actually on there for some reason, but it's learn to present. And the thought of presenting to me petrified me. Who in the room has a bit of a fear of presenting? Be honest. Okay. And by the way, this is the biggest thing that will stop you running webinars. Often people will come and want all the strategies, but it's firstly, we have to help you remove your fear. 8 years ago, there's no way, I used to go to networking groups and be really scared to stand up and introduce my business. And it's so true when you hear this, you've got to find out what your fears are and face them. But I overcame my fear of presenting, and that's what helped me take my business from a standalone coach to a team of 25. When I learned to present, and I moved from one-to-one selling to one-to-many selling. I believe it is the fastest way to maneuver your business to the next level. Is to learn how can I influence multiple people at once. This is the room of me with clients. Very similar to this. We had 150 coaching clients we're based here in Sydney in Bondi Junction. But what's really interesting, when I look back on it all, it was this amazing journey. But then there's the whole thing about being true to yourself. And I looked at what was going on in my life, and I actually wasn't that fulfilled or happy. I got caught up in the money, making the money. And I forgot what I was doing. I had this opportunity to become the St. George Bank business mentor. All these things happened in the space of 2 years from one thing. And then I read this book. It's amazing how books can come. Who's read this book? Okay, most people again. And it really flipped my thinking again. And I looked at, and this is so important because you have to get clarity on the type of lifestyle that you want to live and build your business to suit that. And I was looking at the business that I was running, and I felt trapped. I was running a big team and lots of clients, but I was really unfulfilled underneath it all. And so I made the decision to sell my business. And I wanted to create more of a lifestyle business. I felt like, it's a large part of my book as well, I felt like I'd lost the Andrew Roberts, the younger guy. I grew up on a farm in country New South Wales where friends and family were by far my highest value. And I sabotaged and sacrificed all that to build this business. That I wasn't, and when I look at it, I think, why did I do it? I did it, I believe, to impress everyone else. I think I built it out of an ego. That's me.
Brought to you by businessblueprint.com.au.